The Adventures of Paddington. Summer Games. Dear Aunt Lucy, this week I learned that it's not the winning, it's the taking part that counts. And I wasn't the only one who had to learn that lesson. It was a perfect summer's day, and Jonathan had just found our box of summer games, cried Judy, rushing over to see. We put them away after Dad got a bit carried away last year, Jonathan told Paddington. He really likes to win, said Judy. Mr. Brown came sprinting over. Oh no, Jonathan sighed. You found the summer games, said Mr. Brown. He picked up the whistle. As last year's champion, it's only right I should be ref. But before he could finish, Mrs. Brown whisked the whistle out of his hand. I'll be the referee this time, she said, just in case. First up, it's the dizzy dash, she announced. Put your cone on your head, spin around 3 times, then race to the shed. Ready, steady. Everyone spun around, counting together. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Paddington, Jonathan, and Judy wobbled and bobbled about, bumping into each other and giggling. Meanwhile, Mr. Brown kept his eyes firmly fixed on the finish cone and ran dizzily towards it. Come on, he muttered to himself. Winner! Winner! I'm the Dizzy Dash champion, he shouted, crossing the finish line. Mrs. Brown raised an eyebrow. Well, mumbled Mr. Brown, we're all winners because it's the taking part that counts. A wobbly Paddington bumped into Mr. Brown. Taking part is certainly lots of fun. The next game is bowls, said Mrs. Brown. Closest ball to the middle of the ring wins. Judy tossed her ball towards the ring. Nice shot, cried Jonathan. Then he threw his ball next to hers. Yes! Paddington tried to throw his ball, but dropped it behind him. He tried once more, but dropped it again. Finally, he turned around and threw it backwards. It landed right in the center of the ring, but bounced out again, stopping beside the other 2. Judy declared it a draw. Ha! We'll see about that, said Mr. Brown, hurling his ball to knock the others out of the way. Yes! What a great shot! Dad, moaned Judy. Stop showing off. Winner, winner, chanted Mr. Brown. Go, shouted Mrs. Brown, sending him to the treehouse for some time out. Next, it was archery. Mrs. Brown, Jonathan, and Judy pinked their rubber arrows towards the target. Boing, boing, boing. Paddington pulled back his bow and boing! The arrow shot straight up in the sky, then it plummeted back down into Mr. Curry's garden, knocking over the castle he was building for Queen Nomella. Crash! No! Wailed Mr. Curry. Paddington climbed into the treehouse to see Mr. Brown. Mrs. Brown says you can come down if you play nicely, said Paddington. These games are fun. No, it's only fun when you're winning, said Mr. Brown. There's no better feeling than winning. Paddington wasn't so sure. Oh, I don't know about that, Mr. Brown. Mrs. Brown had to set up a badminton net in the garden. Right, I'm off to my art class, she said, handing Mr. Brown a racket. So, play nicely. "Of course," said Mr. Brown. As soon as Mrs. Brown had left, Mr. Brown shouted, "Game on!" With a flick of his wrist, Jonathan sent the shuttlecock soaring. Mr. Brown walloped it back. He was determined to win. Smash, swoosh! Smash, swoosh! Soon they were playing for the last point in the game. Judy leaped into the air and smashed the shuttlecock over the net. It hit the treehouse and landed in the court. "Yes!" cheered Jonathan and Judy. "They'd won." "Hang on," said Mr. Brown, wiping out his rulebook. "It says hitting the treehouse is not allowed. Play the point again." Jonathan and Judy sighed. Judy sent the shuttlecock zooming over to Paddington. But as he went to hit it, Mr. Brown shouted, "Mine!" He took Paddington's racket and hit the shuttlecock back to win. As he did so, he fell backwards into the fence and knocked over Mr. Curry's castle again. Crash! Mr. Brown leaped up, chanting, "Winner! Winner!" "How does it feel to win, Paddington?" Not very good, Mr. Brown," said Paddington gloomily, watching Jonathan and Judy walking away. "You said there's no better feeling than winning, but I don't think I've ever felt worse." Mr. Curry stomped into the garden. "Mr. Brown, I hope you're happy," he yelled. "All your winning has done is upset your family, break my fence, and ruin Queen Nomela's castle." "You're absolutely right," said Mr. Brown, hanging his head. "Winning has only made me a bit of a loser." But then he had an idea. Paddington had made Jonathan and Judy sandwiches to cheer them up. "I'm sorry I got carried away," Mr. Brown said. "Can we play just one last game, please?" "Okay," said Jonathan and Judy reluctantly. Outside, the whole garden had been turned into a gnome castle obstacle course. "Welcome to Queen Nomela's royal race," said Mr. Curry. "There is just one rule," Mr. Brown said. "It's all just for fun." "Hooray!" everyone shouted. The children and Paddington raced around the obstacle course playing games and collecting castle parts. They had so much fun working together. "Finished!" Everyone cheered when the castle was rebuilt. "What a great team," said Mr. Brown. In the end, Aunt Lucy, we had the most fun as one big team. And Mr. Brown learned that winning doesn't feel good when it makes others sad. Taking part is the most important thing. Love from Paddington.